And our guest tonight is Dorothy Ngoma, President of National Organization of Nurses and Midwives in Malawi.
Thank you for accepting to talk to us in this edition of Capital Straight Talk. Most welcome.
You're welcome, thank you.
First of all, share with us what defines Dorothy Ngoma?
Okay, good question. I'm an ordinary Malawian, nurse midwife. My area of expertise is community health nursing. I have been a community nurse midwife for many years, and I just retired from my active assignments. The last assignment was in government. I am a family lady, married. I have a husband. I have a son and a daughter. Both have their own families, and each has got a grandchild, boy and girl. I am very ordinary, a community member, very supportive of the day-to-day things that happen to the communities, to the people. But I'm a human rights activist and a protector of those issues that I feel strongly that as human beings we must be right at all costs. That's Dorothy Ngoma for you.
All right, you have also hinted that you are a human rights activist. How do you balance the two? Do you think Malawians do understand you well?
I think many do understand me. It takes a bit of time. But you know, you cannot be a nurse midwife and a public health nurse without being concerned with the issues of health that affect either individuals or the masses.
So the two go together?
They go together 100%. From day one, you are protecting the health of the people and you are fighting all the ills that affect human life. And as a nurse midwife, one of your responsibilities is to protect life. And therefore, you become an activist in that sense.
But when you combine the two, people get confused and they end up mistake you for a politician.
Life in general, we cannot do without politics. Everybody has a bit of a politician with them, or within them, because you do take time, everybody, you, me, we do take time to choose our leadership, either in politics, we choose our leadership either in the church or even at the football club, netball club, even in the women organizations. The politics is at the mix of everyday activities that we do, even though we don't call it politics. But when you are haggling for positions, for issues, or your voice to be heard, you are influencing what is happening around you or to your family. Even within families, there is politics.
All right, we'll shortly look into that. To what extent can you go? But you've talked about your contribution in the health sector. I know you've been a lecturer at Kamuzu College of Nursing. You've been involved in many activities. Now, how do you measure your contribution far as the health sector in the country is concerned?
I would say that I've been one of the major contributors. That's personal to me. That's how I look at it myself, that I have done my best. For me, I look at this as a mission. Because, God has given us this.
You seem not to be certain. Why are you so apologetic?
No, I shouldn't be, but let me put it this way positively. For me, it's a gift from God. Being a bedside nurse, that was part of the process of going towards where I am today. Teaching in the university and being one of the lecturers, junior lecturer, I went as high as the acting principal for Kamuzu College of Nursing for 1 year. From there, I went into government and I even reached the level of PS in the office of the president for safe motherhood, which was protecting the women's lives as far as maternal mortality rate is concerned. And so, as I said, for me, it is a mission. And my mission, I have been commissioned by the Lord himself to do what I am doing today. So that's why I do it with all my energy. I do it with everything I have. And whether I'm lobbying or I'm activating something or I am defending the interests of the poor, for me, the poor family, the poor women, the poor child, those that are weak are at the center of what I do.
So when you do all these things, when you speak, you don't do these things for your own benefit?
I have done this since I was 21 years old when I became qualified as a midwife. Let me also mention that for me to become a midwife, if you remember Professor Chipangi, maybe because you may be too young and not to remember that far, but Professor Chipangi was the first obstetrician gynecologist in the country.
What tells you that I was young by then? What tells you that?
I don't know, probably you were. Maybe you are as old as I am. But I was trying to say that Professor Chipangi saw something very strong in me because I was appointed that time, or should I say I was chosen, out of a class of about 30. 5 of us were the best nurse midwives, and we were chosen by Professor Chipangi to go and work in the maternity unit labor ward. And that time there were no doctors. So we were working on your own. You had to be very good. You had to be very strong. You had to make decisions, even to take the patient to theater and tell the doctor, this mother will not deliver, so you are going to do the surgery now. And we had to do it, and they had to listen to us. So that's why I'm saying, for me, it started, for me to say I am chosen and I was picked by God for that assignment. It's just that I'm talking about maybe 30 years ago. But now, I've had to grow and develop to a level where I have reached at the top, where I can actually stand up and speak and say, government, this is wrong. You cannot do this for the sake of the mothers, the children, and the Malawians. Therefore, do the right thing. And I don't fear anybody. You don't fear anybody? No, I don't.
Why? Why that kind of courage?
I know they can't. They've tried before. There was another time I hid for 2 weeks because they wanted to kill me.
How did they try? How did they try? And who are these people?
Well, I wouldn't know them, but they were there.
How did you know? How did you know that they wanted to kill you?
Because there are many people who love me and who protected me and who believed in what I do and the cause.
Are these people who wanted to kill you still around in the country?
Of course they are there and they know it. And maybe they will even try. But I know God will not allow it. You know, when I die or they kill me, I will know that maybe God allowed it because my time is up. Because sooner or later, everybody must die anyway. Whether you get killed or you get sick and die or you get knocked off by a car on the road, it's one of those things. But eventually you, me, and even those people who are killing others, they'll also die. Everybody will die.
When you were voted into office as a NOM president sometime last year, you pledged to advocate for nurses' welfare. How do you assess yourself? Do you think that pledge has been fulfilled?
It continues to be fulfilled. Let me put it this way. I think I'm just one of the best. I've already told you that...
One of the best?
Because there are many good ones out there. There are many who could do the job that I'm doing and maybe even do it better. But I can assess myself that I am one of...
You're starting to be a pompous person. Are you?
I am. I'm not pompous, but I'm just telling you the truth. That's what it is. I assess myself and I tell myself I am good at what I do. And of course, people also tell me that I am good.
Recently, government hired nurses. Those appointments didn't last. They withdrew them a few days later. You promised to fight for these nurses and doctors. What action have you taken to support them?
Of course, I and my colleagues in the union, and of course our lawyer, we have been lobbying, advocating, and we took the case to court, and it remains in court. We have been waiting to get the court response, and while we were waiting, government decided to, should I say, make a wrong decision to say they are going to interview them after having already hired them. So we went to court again and got an injunction. And yesterday we got that injunction, and the decision that has been done is that those interviews have been cancelled. And as I'm talking to you now, there are no interviews. So they will be put on hold. And so my role with the team is to continue lobbying so that government reinstates these nurse midwives who were fired, because government had no reason to fire them. We have a Labour Act in this country, and we have policies that guide how workers must be treated. You get fired, yes, but then you must have committed a major crime for you to be fired. Now, these nurse midwives, they just worked for about 2 months. What crime did they commit for them to be fired? So unless government brings them to the table to say, you did this, therefore you are being disciplined and you are going to be fired. But government cannot fire them. That's what we are saying.
People say that in your work as president of NOM and as a human rights defender, sometimes you go overboard, and sometimes people say you are affiliated to some political organizations. Which political party do you belong to?
I don't belong to any political party, but I will support the party that protects the interests of the masses, of the poor. And I will support them in the sense that if they are doing a good job, I will say they are doing a good job. If they are doing a bad job, I will say they are doing a bad job. During my time, even from the time Kamuzu was ruling, towards the end, that's when I was sitting at the university. I strongly became active and opposed what was happening at that time. Then came a new government. I was happy and supported that we are getting new leaders. They took a mess up. As they messed up, I also stood up and protested. That leader left. Another leader came. I was happy we are getting a new leader. That one also messed up, and I protested, and I joined the group that said no, and that leader went.
You didn't protest or you didn't speak during the time of Joyce Banda, and people conclude that you sympathize with People's Party.
During Joyce Banda's time, she appointed me as the leader for safe motherhood.
So that filled your mouth.
No. The job that she gave me was to support and help and build an organization that safe motherhood to help reduce the maternal mortality rate for Malawi and reduce it down to zero. If you remember that time, every day I was lobbying, advocating, I was running around, I was fundraising. Within the 1.5 years, I fundraised over 1.2 billion kwacha, built 17 maternity units.
So are you telling me that you were too busy?
I had no time for politics.
What politics are you talking about? Because you are a human rights defender and a lot of things happened. Remember Kashigate, remember issues of dead bodies that were rotting in Lilongwe. So you were too busy to...
No, wait. My role was to protect and safeguard the interests of women as far as maternal mortality rate was concerned. I was doing that in the country. I was doing that at the regional level. I was even doing that at international level, lobbying the G8 to the G20 to support and put money to reduce the high maternal mortality rate.
In other words,
people, in Malawi, I'm not the only one. There's you, there are others.
That much I know.
God has given us space. Model for you to work on. What Joyce Banda gave me was that space to protect the interests of the women.
So should I conclude that position that you were given by Joyce Banda as...
It was not political.
Should I conclude that it did disadvantage Malawians? Because you do speak on behalf of Malawians on several issues, and that time you concentrated only on your position at safe motherhood.
Maternal mortality rate.
Yeah.
And I helped reduce that maternal mortality rate from 650 down to 510 within the period I was there. I built 17 maternity waiting homes. There are hundreds of women now waiting in those homes. And that's a lot of work to do within a period of less than 2 years. I fundraised 1.2 billion. Do you think I would have had time to go and be asking about who is stealing money in government? That's not the job that Joyce Banda has given was to reduce maternal mortality rate. That's what I do.
I'm sure you have heard these assertions. You seem to have personal grudges against the DPP administration. You were vocal during the Bingu time, and now you are vocal again. Do you have personal grudges against the DPP administration?
No. I was vocal from the time Malawi Congress Party was in the office. I even joined the groups that were protecting the interests of the citizens, those groups. I also joined the PPM, if you remember. I was in the forefront. I was the one, I think there were 2 or 3 women who were in the forefront. I was one of them. And then during Muruzi's time, the issue of third term and the first term, the third term issue, I was in the forefront. I've been in the forefront to protect the ills of this country, including Bingu's time. When Bingu was coming in the first term, you remember the issue of in Parliament, it was an issue of 65
versus budget, yes.
Versus budget.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know I joined the group that slept on the road where there is Parliament now, there's a bush. We camped there for 2 weeks, protecting Bingu's team so that the budget could pass. I was one of them, if you remember. I camped for 2 weeks with the Bamusi and the rest, if you talk to them. So what are you talking about?
But I'm sure you have heard officials in this government singling your name as one of those who are unnecessarily criticizing this Mutharika administration. Why do you think they're singling you out?
They don't know me, and they don't know anything. They think they know me. Some of them pretend to know me. They don't know me. If they knew me, they would know exactly what I'm made of, and they would know and understand that I will support and defend anything that affects the poorest of the poor, and that I cannot be bought. And they've tried it, and they know I cannot.
Who tried?
Information. I'll keep it to myself.
Who tried to?
Are you sure you want to know?
Yes, I am. Yes, not necessarily me, but Malawians who are listening to you now.
You remember a few months ago, it was out in the open, front page, that Dorothy Ngoma, Matakwataine, whatever, we given 5 million kwacha to destabilize the country. And then I went out and I said, for me, 5 million kwacha is too little to stabilize the country. 5 million kwacha, it would just be enough probably to take care of my family in a few months.
Oh, did you get more than 5 million kwacha for that exercise?
I wish I got, but maybe they should try 5 billion maybe. They will steal from the maybe tax get money and give it to me. But if they did, you will know. I'll tell you, come, let us celebrate.
For those who might want to destabilize the government through you, if they come to you with that huge amount of money, are you going to carry out that exercise?
That's why I was telling you, unless you don't know me, then you try and bring that issue. But if you know me from where I'm coming from, my whole lifetime, to the age I am now, having just retired, are you sure at this age and the late time, I would really receive money to stabilize the country like this one? This country is already destabilized.
It's already destabilized?
It is already destabilized.
What do you mean?
Look at the Ministry of Health. Look at what is happening there. The patients have no food. They are eating 1 meal a day now. There are no drugs. The ambulances can't move. There's no fuel. In the district, water is being disconnected. Electricity can't pay the bills. The funding is a quarter or a third or half of what they should get. Drugs, I understand the other day that patients are dying because we are buying expired drugs or whatever it is. Now, if to you that's not bad news, what is bad news?
Now, you were National Coordinator for Safe Motherhood. You were appointed by the former president. You got fired the moment DPP came into power.
I don't know. I don't know whether I should call it being fired. But anyway, I was allowed to go, and so therefore I left. Now,
did you leave willingly?
No, they asked me to go.
So it was firing, isn't it?
Probably, but it wasn't, because I had my position was connected to the government at that time. So when the government was thrown out, it meant those of us who they decided came in because of the persons, but were in the government, we had to go to. Had I been asked to continue, I felt strongly that I was one of those best persons to do that assignment. If you look at since I left, Safe Motherhood has not fundraised or built even one single maternity unit in 2 years. I fundraised from 0 to 1.2 billion kwacha private money, which I fundraised. The new team have not raised even a single penny. What do you say to that?
You've talked about the challenges that are there in the health sector. I can't agree with you more. What needs to be done for things to improve in our hospitals?
The leadership just needs to jack up. They must acknowledge that we are in trouble. Everything is really going down, is not getting worse by the day. And it's the poorest of the poor who are really getting the road deal at the end. You know, everything is as bad as its leader or it's as good as its leader. So for me, those that are failing or have failed us are our leaders at all levels, from lowest level to top level, because they are the ones who call the shots. Now, if you have bad leaders, everything becomes bad. Now, unless they listen to us and start doing the right thing and start reallocating the resources, start cutting the unnecessary waste, and let us have the size of court that is related or that is enough for the material that we have. But if you have little money and you want to go and spend and buy big expensive things, like what you saw with the US trip, we don't have money, but we took millions of kwachas.
Time is up, but before you go, how would you want the people of Malawi to remember one Dorothy Ngoma?
This is a lady who worked very hard as a nurse professional, but also as an advocate and a protector of the health of especially poor people in the community. And she did everything she could to do that, and that's me. So I want them to remember me as somebody who was a real good right activist by God's grace, and I have done my best.
Let me once again thank you very much for your time and whatever you have shared with us in this edition of Capital Straight Talk. Wish you well.
Thank you so much, and you too.